Before we continue, we ask if you like our content to like and subscribe to our channel so we can keep publishing videos that you enjoy. Thank you. Hey, and welcome back to Horror Builds. Today we're building the first true horror heroine, Laurie Strode. Sometimes Michael Myers' little sister, all the time a pain in his ass. So technically all the time his little sister. When faced with an unrelenting force, you have to match it, and Laurie does just that. For this build, we're going to focus on one timeline and ignore the others. There's the Thorn timeline, but she's dead before 4, so no. There's the H2O timeline. Laurie is an emotionally scared woman who overcomes her trauma to face evil, until she's killed in a cash grab. I mean sequel. It was a sequel. It was not an obvious cash grab with a pop culture hype of reality TV, so no resurrection. God, that movie made me angry. We also have Rob Zombie's timeline, and that is a huge no. I will never do a build from that timeline. I'm sorry if you liked it, I do not. There is only one choice, the new current timeline. In all honesty, this is the best choice, as it is the most realistic, and Laurie is a badass and fully capable of taking Michael on. So let's just jump right into this. Michael Myers is a stealthy killer who can just take punishment, and in melee combat, he is extremely dangerous. So Laurie must be able to deal large amounts of damage, all the while staying away. I'll be using standard point array, and we will be multi-classing. For stats, just focus on Dex and Wisdom as they are the most important. Con is also important, so make that a good number. I suggest Dex 15, Wisdom 14, Con 12. We're going to bump that Con up and then focus on the important stats. Laurie is a variant human. Put +1 in Con and +1 in Dex. Then take the Tavern Brawler as your feat. Tavern Brawler adds +1 to Con, gives you proficiency in improvised weapons. This allows you to use anything you find as a weapon, such as crochet needles and clothes hangers. It also makes your unarmored attacks a D4 instead of 1 plus your strength modifier. For skill, choose Perception. For background, take Haunted 1. No matter how many years have passed, you will always be the one who survived the night he came home. Take Survival and Investigation as your skills. We're going to start off with a fighter. Take Athletics and Insight as your class skills. Level 1 fighters get a fighting style. Take Defense. This adds +1 to your AC while wearing armor. That night you were unprepared. Never again. You also get Second Wind to heal yourself 1d10 plus your fighter level. Level 2 fighters get Action Surge, allowing you to make an extra action once per short or long rest. Level 3 fighters choose an archetype. Choose Battle Master. You've learned tactics to surprise your enemies in combat. You gain 3 superiority dice that you can use to perform maneuvers during combat. For maneuvers, take Ambush, which allows you to add superiority dice to your stealth or initiative rolls. Disarming Attack allows you, after hitting a creature, to add superiority dice to the damage and force your opponent to make a strength saving throw. If they fail, they lose their weapon. Trip Attack allows you to add superiority dice to the damage and forces another strength saving throw. But on a failed save, they fall prone. Level 4 fighters get their first ability score Improvement. You need to put this in Wisdom. We need to make stealth not an issue when Laurie is in combat. Now it's time to jump over to Ranger. Multiclassing Ranger gives us another skill. Time to get Stealth. Level 1 Rangers can take Deft Explorer, giving them Canny, which doubles proficiency bonus for 1 skill. Make it Perception. Michael might be quiet, but you can see him coming from a mile away. Now you're probably wondering, why do we go Ranger instead of Rogue, since Rogue can do that with 2 skills. Trust me, it will make sense. They also get Favored Foe. This lets you mark an enemy and adding a D4 to the damage dice as long as you're able to maintain concentration. Level 2 Rangers get a fighting style. You're going to need archery. This adds +2 to your attack rolls with ranged weapons. Distance is going to be key to this build. You'll also receive spells at this level. Alarm creates a zone that is a 20-foot cube that you designate who can enter. Whenever a creature enters that is not designated, you are alerted mentally. This spell lasts 8 hours and works as long as you are within 1 mile of it, and if you want it, it can actually have a sound. Set it in a location Michael will have to cross through, and you will know he's there. Hunter's Mark. It's a bonus action to cast and deals an extra d6 to the damage. Now let's head back to Fighter. Level 5 Fighters gain an extra attack, allowing you to attack twice. Level 6 Fighters is another ability to score improvement, but you don't want it. So you have 3 choices now for feats. We're going to talk about each one of those. Gunner, Crossbow Expert, or Piercer. Gunner makes you proficient in firearms and adds +1 to your dex, ignores reload properties for firearms, and makes it so being within 5 feet of an enemy no longer gives you disadvantage on your firing. Crossbow Expert allows you to ignore reload properties with crossbows, all crossbows, makes it so you can fire a hand crossbow as a bonus action, and makes it so being within 5 feet of an enemy no longer gives you advantage. Piercer adds +1 to strength or dex, lets you re-roll 1 damage dice on a piercing weapon, which both crossbows and guns do, also bows, and adds additional damage dice on a crit. Now, if you want, you can bump up dex. If you bump up dex, take a longbow instead of guns or crossbows. It has the better range. In case you didn't figure it out, we're going to need long-range weapons, as I just suggested. A musket, longbow, or heavy crossbow are your 3 main weapons that you're going to be using. Whatever you want, it's time to really push that. And now let's bump up the damage even more. You are a capable fighter with unarmed strikes, melee combat, and ranged weapons. Now you need to learn how to become something that can meet Michael in his territory and take him down. It's time to become a rogue. Becoming a rogue means you get another skill, bringing it up to 7 skills. Take Sleight of Hand and hide weapons on your person. Level 1 rogue gets expertise, allowing you to double proficiency bonus to 2 skills. Put that into stealth and athletics. You'll also gain sneak attack. This is where it's going to get fun damage-wise. Sneak attack adds damage to your attack made with a finesse or ranged weapon when you have advantage on the attack or when an ally is within 5 feet of an enemy. Right now you're only adding 1d6, but that will grow. Level 2 rogues can make a cunning action. Cunning actions are dash, disengage, or hide as bonus actions. You can now move faster, escape enemies, and get to stealth better. Level 3 rogues get an archetype. For Laurie, there's only one that really works perfectly, Scout. Now, why does Scout work perfectly? The Scouts gain Skirmisher, which means when an enemy ends its turn within 5 feet of you, you can disengage and move half of your movement as a reaction. Meaning if Michael gets close, you can move 15 feet on his turn, move 30 feet on your turn, then dash for another 30, then attack at a range. You can also get Survivalist. You get 2 more skills, or 1 in your case, as you already have them, Nature and Survival. More importantly, you get expertise in these skills. You now have 8 skills. 5 of those are expertise. We'll be fixing that too. Level 4 rogues get an ability score improvement. Time to bump your wisdom up again. You need good perception. Level 5 rogues gain Uncanny Dodge. This allows you to have your damage on any attack as long as you can see the attacker. Jumping back to Fighter now. Level 7 fighters gain Know Your Enemy by spending 1 minute studying another creature. Through interaction or observation outside of combat, you can learn certain information compared to your own. The DM tells you if the 2 facts are equal, superior, or inferior to your information. This information can be strength, dex, or con score, AC, current HP, or total levels. While this doesn't sound like a great thing, it can come in handy, especially if they can't see you. You also gain 2 more maneuvers. Precision Attack adds your superiority dice to an attack roll. potentially turning a miss into a hit. Distracting Strike adds your superiority dice to damage and gives the next attacker other than you advantage on the attack. You now also have 4 superiority dice. Jump back to Rogue. Level 6 Rogue, get more expertise. Throw that into Sleight of Hand and Investigation. You now have double proficiency to all but one of your skills. Level 7 Rogues get Evasion, making Dex saves even better. If you exceed a Dex save, you now take no damage and half if you fail. Level 8 Rogues get another ability score improvement. Cap off your Wisdom. Michael will not be able to get close to you now without you knowing. Level 9 Rogues. Scouts get superior mobility, increasing your walking speed to 10 feet, and you gain swimming and climbing speed. Now, you can move 40 feet, dash another 40 feet, meaning you're now 80 feet away from Michael, and make a ranged attack. Level 10 Rogues get another ability score improvement. It's time to dive into some more feats. Alert makes you so you are never surprised. Enemies can't get advantage even if you can't see them, and you add +5 to your initiative rolls. Sharpshooter allows you to shoot the maximum distance possible. You ignore half cover and give yourself -5 on the attack rolls to add +10 damage if you hit. Now, both these are incredibly good. Alert, I would suggest being the better one. Sharpshooter is a good one, but Alert will be better, especially with how stealthy Michael is. Level 8 Fighter is our final level and our final ability score improvement. Michael is on his way, so you need to raise your dex up. It's fight time. Michael Myers versus Laurie Strode. I'll be using my Michael Myers build. If you haven't watched it, go check it out now. First thing, let's compare some basic stats. At level 20, Michael has 242 HP, +17 or +27 to stealth if he uses Pass Without a Trace. Can attack 3 times to 6 times with Action Surge. Laurie at level 20 has 154 HP, +16 to stealth. Can attack 2 to 4 times with Action Surge. Those stats are not looking good for Laurie, and it gets worse when you compare damage output. Michael, using a short sword, which is the closest thing to a giant kitchen knife we can get, can do 1d6 +5 +2 +1d4/1d6 +1d8 damage. Laurie, depending on what weapon loadout you had, for musket does 1d12 +4 +1d4/1d6, or a heavy crossbow that becomes a d10, or a longbow that becomes a d8. With Michael's multiple attack exceeding Laurie's, it's not looking good so far for her. But Laurie hasn't been sitting around waiting this whole time. She has transformed herself. Michael may be a relentless killer, but Laurie is an ambush predator. Laurie's perception is +17 versus Michael's perception of +7. Adding in the spell Alarm, Laurie will know Michael is coming and already waiting for him. Laurie having the alert feat means Michael will never be able to surprise her, while she can surprise him. She will also be bringing 5d6 sneak attack damage when she does. Michael is a close combat fighter and lacks all range capabilities. Laurie has superior movement with 40 feet with full range of abilities, allowing her to capitalize this fact. Heavy crossbows have a 100-foot range, longbow 150 range, and the musket with the lowest 40 feet, but all are well beyond Michael's movement. With her Battlemaster archetype, Laurie can also force Michael to make strength saving throws which are not actually his strongest save, making him waste movement to stand up or pick up his weapons. Her range also negates his greatest healing ability, hit dice on a short rest. While Michael has Second Wind and Cure Wounds, his hit dice are his best as he can never roll less than a 10 on a single dice. But he can't use that in combat. Second Wind is a one-off and Cure Wounds require spell slots which he doesn't have many of, only 6 total, which he will need to cast Hunter's Mark or Pass Without a Trace. Chasing Laurie will waste time if she keeps ahead of him, which she will, and keeps getting the surprise on him. and you can bet she is going to go first. Alert gives her a +5 to initiative, and Ambush lets her add superiority dice. Now, a true battle between these two would only depend on the player and DM. How long does Laurie have to prepare? Do the players understand their characters? I would actually love to eventually do a battle between these two builds in the future, once I find a DM to run it or someone to take control of Michael, because I already know someone who would very much love to have Laurie as a character. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this. I have loved making these, and I hope you have enjoyed watching them.